Awesome. Hey, just want to thank all of you guys for tuning in today. We have a really great training session lined up for you. My name is John Morris. I'm the Regional Technology Director for the Maryland, DC region. Joining me today is Shannon Dager from the Ohio Valley region, who is going to give you some really great insights on being able to get some great content out for some recruiting smart plans. And a good friend of mine, Mike Hillary, is the regional technology trainer for the Mid-American region. One of the smartest guys I know, and he's going to really kind of guide you through being able to set up the smart plan itself. And then a really great friend of mine is on today to kind of motivate you guys. We just figured that if we were going to start a training out, we wanted to get you guys pumped up. And to get you guys pumped up, there's nobody that has more passion about Keller Williams than Aaron Kaufman. So he's going to come in here, the Profit Share King, to talk to you guys a little bit about kind of delivering at a high level the Keller Williams value proposition, because there's not anybody I know, and I know that it's been brought up frequently lately about the dependent, independent, and interdependent model. And as we're recruiting people and as we're bringing them into our world, how do we express or relay those messages in a virtual environment? And nobody's been doing it better or longer than Aaron. So that's what I really wanted to talk to him about, or talk today with him about. Okay. So I'm just going to share my screen here real quick, and then I'm going to turn it over to Aaron and have Mike and Shannon introduce themselves to the people that don't know them as well too. So let me go into this PowerPoint, and we will. I got too many of my buttons in the same spot. So let's go in view, present. All right. So again, today we're going to talk about setting up this is smart plans for recruiting. Went over or introduced basically all the guests that we have here today. Just to kind of give you an idea of what we want to accomplish with this is the objective of the course is for you guys to learn how to leverage smart plans to nurture recruits into opportunities. And Aaron, one of the things Jason Abrams talks a lot about is as agents staying in emotional proximity with our clients so that they'll use us when they want to do their next real estate transaction. And I think a lot of that really relates to the people that we're recruiting too. The better we stay in emotional proximity with our recruits, when they do decide that it's time to make a move, that we want them to think of us first, right? And I think that's what smart plans and leveraging smart plans is going to really allow us to do. So kind of the objection or the objectives of today, or the goals, we're going to go through intros. AK is going to bring the fire. We're going to go into the smart plan content and how you guys can start to create your own content. That's kind of like rough draft, right? And then we're going to go into actually building your plan out, and Mike's going to lead you through that. And then we're going to end out the session today with some ahas. A couple breakout sessions for you guys to do some work. And the goal today is for you guys to actually create a smart plan. That at the end of the day, we want you to put a recruit on the smart plan, yourself on the smart plan, and your local RTT on the smart plan as well to test it out. Once we basically all verify that it works well, then we are going to have you guys scale it out to send to mass recruits as far as that goes. And anything that I missed, Shannon or Mike?
I think you got it.
Awesome.
Bullseye.
Cool. So I introduced myself. Shannon, why don't you take a quick second to give your background to everybody, and Mike, then we'll do the same, and then we'll launch into the heat.
Okay. Well, I'm Shannon Dager. I am the Regional Technology Director for the Ohio Valley region. So hi to all my people up there. That includes Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. So prior to becoming the Regional Technology Director, I was a team leader for about 1.5 years in the Southeast region. And prior to that, I had a long history in sales and running my own business. Some of that was in real estate, some of that was in construction, and also in the med device industry. And when I came into becoming a team leader, I took what I had learned in the med device industry and brought it from Salesforce into my recruiting platform. And so I did that with drip campaigns, which now we call SmartPlans. And so I did that through other resources. And so I'm super excited to talk to you guys today about what I used and what I'm using today and help you guys get started.
Awesome. Thanks, Shannon. Mike, how about a quick intro for yourself as well?
Yeah, my name's Mike Hillary. Most of you probably know me by a different name. I'll let you throw it in the
It's
chat.
actually in the chat box.
Yeah, oh, it's already there. That was quick.
Awesome.
I am the regional tech trainer for the Mid-American region. So that's Illinois and the parts of Indiana that's not Ohio Valley. So we get Central Time Zone, and not sure why or where the line got drawn somewhere north of Indianapolis, but we get Fort Wayne and South Bend too, which is cool for me because I'm a Notre Dame season ticket holder. Before this role, I was the MCA in our Chicago Lincoln Park office for 3 years and the MCA in the Peoria office for the 3 years before that. So I've dove head in on, and I've always been, a little bit techie. And then as we started to evolve into a technology company, I got more and more involved on testing, on building, and, being involved in the process on how to make things more efficient and more profitable. And then I've been able to really use this role to share that with a ton of people, and I'm having so much fun.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you being on here today and pouring into everybody. So want to now at this time again have Aaron talk to you guys a little bit. And when Aaron and I first talked about this, he said, "Hey, listen, I don't know if I'm the right guy for this, right? Because the kind of recruit, is mostly new recruits, not necessarily cappers or market share like a Tiel might do." And so I said, "That's not really what I'm looking for or what I really want. What I really want is for you to come in and talk about how you really deliver that value prop at a really high level when you're not meeting face to face with people all the time, because you've been doing a lot of emails, you've been doing a lot of text messaging, and some phone calls as far as that goes too, talking to these people. How could we condense that value prop, Aaron, into a smaller bite-sized message so that when the TLs are going out there and putting people on an automated email or an automated text message, how could they really, what are some practices you think they could do to deliver that value prop at the highest level?"
Sure. Well, let me introduce myself, Aaron Kaufman, self-titled Chief Stakeholder Evangelist at KW. I have a couple of thoughts here that I want to throw out. I would say the first thought is, don't forget your action step, right? Your call to action. To us, the call to action is always, if you're going to be going after experienced agents, I think a great call to action would be schedule a confidential interview today or something like that. I think every touch needs to have that call to action, right? And I think a lot, John, about the website that I have and the websites I've partnered up with, and a lot of conversations with people that want to add all these bells and whistles to their websites. And really, at the end of the day, a lot of that stuff is just a distraction from the action step, which is to capture the lead. So I want people to make sure, first and foremost, that you always have to have an action step, right, for these people. It's great to touch them, but you really want to make sure that they push that button and contact you and schedule a confidential, I think confidential interview is probably a good action step for experienced agents, right? But as far as philosophically, here are a couple of thoughts that I just, and John, you and I talked a little bit about, maybe you and I will work on on doing a SmartPlan,
Mm-hmm.
But here are kind of the thoughts that I have with the SmartPlan or just marketing in general. Anybody that's taken my class knows what I'm about to say here. I'm a huge Simon Sinek guy. He's a big fan of people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, right? People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Now, we all know at Keller Williams, all of our what's are better here. I mean, we have the best training, the best support, the best technology, the best leadership, the best culture. But I think the key to building a banging SmartPlan that actually drives people to contact you, which is the goal of it, is that you need to make them understand why all of these what's are better here. I mean, it's one thing to talk about our platform, but it's another thing to convey why it's better, right? It's another thing to talk about culture. It's another thing to talk about why our culture is different. So when we talk about helping people understand our why, we have to start with our who, right? And I think everything in this company starts with Gary Keller and his why. So if I was doing a smart plan, personally, what I would be doing, and John, the format of the smart plan I hope you and I start working on is who, why, how, what, right? I would be laying out not only the entire smart plan from a who, why, how, what, every touch should be a who, why, how, what. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Right?
Yes.
So when you talk about culture, okay, you know, it's one thing to say, oh, we're one big happy family over here. We take care of each other. Y4C2Ts, right? It's another thing to say, look, the reason why our culture is different at Keller Williams is because we're led by the most innovative mind this industry's ever seen, who decided he wanted to be the first person to build a real estate company that treats agents like partners, or as we call them, stakeholders, right? So at our company, we are a privately held real estate company where agents have a true vested interest in a common goal and have a real incentive to work together and care about each other, right? That's why our culture is different here. We're in an industry that's always been dog eat dog, dominated by publicly traded real estate companies, right, that answer to Wall Street. And what do we all think a shareholder cares more about these days of a publicly traded real estate company? Do they care about the future of their agents in this industry? Do they care about, you know, helping them out Zillow, right? So the point is, if you're talking about culture, you got to go back to the who, you got to explain why and how that why leads to the what. And that would be the format of what I would be structuring my smart plan as from a totality and also individually. Right? So why is our tech better? Same reason. Starts with Gary Keller, starts with building a real estate company that's built by agents for agents. We built this proprietary tech platform in collaboration with our agent partners, right? We are the ones that are helping build it. We're the ones that help evolve it. Its sole purpose is to help agents lower their technology costs and help them out Zillow, right? But we need to make people understand why it's better, why it's designed for agents, right? Why it was built by agents. So that's just one thought I want to throw out there. Why, or who, why, how, what? That would be the flow of my smart plan, and that would also be the flow of every touch. The other concepts I want to talk about is this. You know, I talked a little bit about this on the leadership call the other day, but one thing Simon Sinek says that I love, somebody asked him, what will people be craving the digital age, right? And his answer was, people will be craving a sense of purpose and a sense of community in the digital age. And there's a brand new MAPS course that's launching called How to Build $1 Million Market Center, okay? The two foundational principles of of $1 million market center are purpose and community. So my guess is purpose and community need to also be a big part of your smart plan and your touches, right? And I talked about this on the leadership call, but why are we the place for purpose and community? Okay, well, let's talk about purpose. We're led by the most innovative mind this industry's ever seen, who has a 40-year track record for being the agent advocate in our industry. And even though he's got the #1 real estate company on this planet, under one brand, he's completely reinventing his entire company for the sole purpose of saving agents from an industry that's trying to eliminate them. So guys, I kind of feel like we've cornered the market on purpose moving forward. Yes. Let's talk about community, right? We're a part of the only privately held agent-centric real estate company where agents have a true vested interest in a common goal and have a real incentive to work together and care about each other in an industry that's always been dog eat dog, right? And guys, our community is not just tied to profit share, it's tied to also, you know, our purpose, which is to fight for the future of real estate professionals. So once again, if community and purpose are what people are going to be craving in the digital age, and by the way, we ain't just in the digital age, guys, we are right in the middle of the most extended digital experience of our lifetime. Don't you think people right now who've been sitting at home for 3.5 months want to be a part of something bigger? They want to have purpose. I mean, look around, what's happening right now. Black Lives Matter, Me Too. I mean, there's so many things going on. People are craving change. They want to be a part of something bigger. We are the only privately held real estate company built by agents for agents, and EXP can call themselves agent owned all day long. They are a publicly traded real estate company. And they ain't building proprietary technology in collaboration with their agents. that's designed to protect them from an industry that's trying to eliminate them, right? And guys, remember this, in the absence of value, price is going to be their only conversation. I haven't had one conversation with an EXP agent about purpose and community. It's about profit share versus revenue share. And if you think that's the conversation, you don't understand what's happening right now in your industry, okay? So purpose and community, those are two other big themes that you want to be working into your smart plan, okay? And the final thing I'll say this, we know the Stephen Covey flow chart, dependent, independent, interdependent. Kim Z, I saw you do a great video after I taught that. Dependent, independent, interdependent, right? Guys, we took over this industry being the first interdependent real estate company in a historically independent, dependent industry. But here's the deal. You got companies like EXP that are trying to play the interdependent game with us, right? And I'm just going to quote Gary Keller for you. We're not even the real estate company you're trying to emulate anymore. Yeah, we're interdependent, but more importantly, we are consumer-centric, right? So it's dependent, independent, interdependent, and then there's consumer-centric. And so that's the difference between us and EXP when it comes to interdependence, is that we are building technology for the consumers, right? So that our agents can provide the best consumer experience. EXP is playing the agent-centric interdependent game, right? We've already moved on from the agent-centric interdependent model. We're now the agent-centric, consumer-centric model. And those are three things that I would really start pounding in a smart plan that I would build. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. At Keller Williams, our why starts with our who. Community and purpose. Nobody can beat us for community and purpose in this industry, period. And in the absence of value, price will be their only conversation. And then dependent, independent, interdependent, consumer-centric. Okay, I think those are the kind of conversations I'd be throwing out there. All right, so that's the heat that I got for you right off the bat. Throw it back to you and see what you guys want to go from there. All right.
Awesome. Before we jump into the rest of the session, anybody have any questions for Aaron about any of the things that he had just said?
I mean, how in the world, guys, I see it every day in the Profit Share Mastermind group where people reach out to me and they're like, how are we different from EXP? How is our model different from EXP? And my answer is, how is it the same? Seriously, how is it the same? Think about this, guys. If it's about community and purpose, all right, how in the heck can a publicly traded virtual real estate company beat us for community? And by the way, just so we all know, revenue share, which is what Keller Williams was when we first launched, didn't work because it was negatively affecting our culture, guys. Revenue share creates a downline relationship. Profit share creates a culture of sharing company-wide. And whether your agents participate in profit share or not, they are vested in their fellow KW stakeholder. And I think, my thought here, John, is very simple. I know we're building smart plans to tell our story to agents that are not in business with us, but I'm going to tell you one thing. If your own agents don't know this, how are you going to deliver on interdependence if your own agents don't even understand it and believe it? So I would hope as we build these smart plans to tell our story to people we're not in business with, that we are also simultaneously telling the same story to our own agents. Because I'll just tell you right now, 80% of our agents don't even know it. So we need to be careful about that. That if we're touting community and purpose, and somebody joins our company, and I heard a great line I want to say real fast. People join Keller Williams for the same reason they leave. I love that line, by the way. So if they come here for purpose and community, and the agents you're already in business with don't understand it, you ain't going to deliver on it, and that person's going to leave because they're not experiencing it at a high level. So be careful what you're sharing with agents that we're not in business with if you're not delivering on that in your actual market center, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's brilliant. One of the things that an aha for me already on that is just, we're talking about recruiting smart plans today, but what does a value prop SmartPlan look like for retention too, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Going out to our own agents, hey, here's something I want you to read, and, that talks about our culture, or here's something I want you to
John,
read.
it's probably the same thing, man. To be honest with you, it's probably the exact same thing to a degree. That's why I love things. And when I teach my class, guys, that's why I talk about. I mean, the leverage tools you have are amazing. I mean, look, think like a CEO podcast. What better way to communicate our who and his why than think like a CEO podcast, right? What better way to share with other agents our interdependent value proposition than to share the principles of shift through the Shift Pivot Ahead Facebook group, right? So, and that's why I love things like Keller Williams Outfront Magazine and all the amazing articles they have in there. There's a great way to obviously you leverage that stuff as well, but you have a lot of tools that are available to you to communicate these things, right? But we want to make sure we're sharing that with our own agents as well.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. So awesome. Well, really appreciate you, Aaron, bud. I think that this gives a lot of really good insight, I think, to the TLs as they're getting ready to build their smart plans, because, you kind of gave them, I think, a little bit of some of the different smart plans, because I don't necessarily need to talk about the who or the why or the how or the what on every message, but on one text message I send out to you, that could talk a little bit about the who and, a message here, and then a little bit about the why on the next one. And then on the next drip that comes out, a little bit about the how and a little bit about the what, and then a little bit about the purpose in the community too. So, I mean, there's a lot of really cool things that you gave to us, I think, and I know Shannon's going to tie that in as we jump into the next part of this. So,
let's get real, John. Last thing I'm going to say is, look, there's no greater attraction tool and retention tool than Gary Keller. It's just that simple. I just tell you right now, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for watching Gary Keller speak at Family Reunion in 2005. So I don't think we leverage him enough with our own agents and in our marketing. And I would just advise you to leverage him while he's around. I mean, the guy's 62 years old. He ain't going to be around forever. Okay. So we might want to leverage him at the highest level while we got him back in the CEO position. Right.
Awesome. Well, before we let you go, Aaron, there's one other thing I want to do too. And I just want to let everybody know this was not asked of me to do this, but I've seen Aaron multiple times, and it gets better every single time. And he does an amazing job with his profit share class. So Aaron, how do the TLs, if they don't already know, reach out to you about bringing you in either virtually or when we come out of this, and physically as well too?
Well, I'm not going to be teaching in person, I don't think, for the rest of the year. I'm only doing Zoom calls, but I'm offering 1 and 2 hour Zoom sessions of my class. You can send me an email at akaufman@kw.com. That's akaufman@kw.com. But if you're also not in the Profit Share Mastermind group that I co-manage on Facebook, the name of that group is called Profit Share Mastermind KW. First of all, why are you not in that group? Second of all, if you're in that group, have you not already added all of your agents into that group? We have over almost 40,000 of our most purposeful KW agents when it comes to profit share in there. If you get in that group, you can just send me a Facebook message, and that's the best way probably to catch me, or email me. But that group is a must. If you're in leadership, you got to be in that group. If you're in leadership, you got to listen to Gary Keller's podcast. Okay, if you're not in the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group and you haven't added your agents into that group, I mean, what are you doing? Those are the 3 things that you should be doing right now if you want to galvanize your agents to think like stakeholders, right? And then, of course, the 4th thing is get me in front of them virtually. All right.
Yep. With the KW Effect virtual tour, right?
Yeah, you got it, man. You got it.
Awesome.
I'm going to stick around for a little bit and check out some of what Mike and Shannon have to say.
Okay, great. Really appreciate you taking the time to visit with us today.
You got it.
Shannon and Mike, you got anything for Aaron?
No, I think you're awesome, Aaron. I had you in my market center. I loved what you do with my agents. And just FYI, I'm in that group. And for all of you out there, I have SmartPlans running on my downline too. So
that sounds like another class for us.
I'm big on it.
That's smart.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Aaron's, you're spot on with, you have to tell the same story inside as you do outside.
Yeah.
Because every day, every week, you have to re-engage your agents.
And Mike, let's look, I'll be real with you. There's a reason 80% of our agents don't know our story. It's because 80% of our leadership doesn't really know it either. So one of the great things about committing to mastery, right, and learning the story is, one, you can convey it better in a more authentic way inside and outside of your market center, right? But I mean, let's get real. How many people here on this call truly know our story at a high level? Let's get real, right? So before you start telling our story, make sure you know it too, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. So I'm going to do a quick screen share here, and we've got the introductions out of the way. One thing I missed out that I wanted to was a slide to kind of backtrack in just a second. But again, this is, going back to what I'd said about Jason Abrams staying in emotional proximity. This is the kind of more of the home buying slide in terms of, hey, at the top of the funnel or at the top of the hill is when they buy, at the bottom is when they is the day after, right? And then there's 3 to 7 years in between before that, and we need to stay in emotional proximity between those 3 to 7 years. Now, I don't have any stats direct on me, and Shannon and Mike, you might, but I would imagine that in that 3 to 7 years that it takes for somebody to buy and sell a house, the amount of time it takes for somebody to go from one real estate brokerage to the next real estate brokerage, probably a lot shorter, right? And so I think if we look at this, or we take Jason's slide and say, hey, at the top is when they sign on with the real estate company, and the bottom is the day after. Well, let's start talking to them the day after, and let's start building that relationship up so that when they get to that point where they decide, hey, I need to make a change, it's with us. Okay. So wanted to make sure that I backtracked and went over that. We brought the AK fire, so now we're going to actually go into the SmartPlan content. So I'm going to stop my screen share here, give controls over to Shannon, and Shannon is going to kind of take us through some of the great stuff that she has done, that she's used, some tips on creating some content here. And then after she does that, we're going to do a little bit of a breakout and have you guys work into some small groups on masterminding what's worked well for you guys. So take it away, Shannon.
Okay, awesome. I am going to share my screen, and I'm also going to put a link to some SmartPlans for you guys to grab to work on in the chat as soon as I'm done. I know if I put them up there right now, you're going to go look at them, so I'm going to wait. I'm going to make you wait and listen. I was a team leader too, remember? I know how it works. And so a couple things I want to say is that this is the greatest leverage that Command provides you. And so I know as a team leader, it was so difficult for me to get everything done, and I couldn't figure out how to do it and how to hit my numbers, because we were looking at 10 every month. You had to hit 10 every single month, and team leaders are competitive. Like there's some team leaders on here that were in my region, and I'm telling you, I wanted to win every single month, and if I wasn't in that regional newsletter, it was important to me. And so I learned really quickly that I had to cast a very wide net, and it didn't have to be perfect. And so I think a lot of team leaders don't get into, and I shouldn't even say team leaders, I think this is agents too, right? So we have to model what we want our agents to pick up on. And so I think you don't have to be perfect. And so when I show you my SmartPlans, and I will share them with you, and I have an entire drive that I'm going to share with you at the end of this that has dozens of SmartPlans that you can pass on to your agents, because I started a group and we have agents adding to that all the time. And so I want you to know you don't have to be perfect, but you have to be as personal, and you have to be relatable, and you have to reach a need. And that need is not always the same. So you may not reach that on the first time, and you may not reach that on the second time. And SmartPlans give you the leverage to get that down the road. So there's a sales statistic that's out there that says 50% of agents don't ever contact their leads more than one time. Not one time. And then 80% of things are closed after the 8th contact. That's the same for us as team leaders. Recruiting is very similar to sales. You need to have continuous contact to develop that relationship. And so SmartPlans is the way you continue to do that, because how many times have you called somebody and they're like, I'm not interested? And if you've been a team leader for more than a year, you know that not interested changes quickly, and it's changing very quickly now. And so, either one, they weren't interested at the time and they were happy and they didn't know that they had a need. And 2, you got to find the need. And sometimes that takes a lot more than one time. You got to identify it. And so any smart plan that you build out has to be at identifying that needs. And I agree with Aaron, it needs to identify, Jason Abrams talks about it, people, models, systems, technology. You've got to identify those things in that smart plan, multiple steps of the way. And so, and I'll talk to you about Command. Command is ready for you to recruit. I was recruiting last year in Command. Smart plans work for you now. Now you have to think outside the box. And I will tell you, you may look at listings as licensed recruits. You may look at buyers as unlicensed recruits. You may look at leases as current agents. Put them in there, tag them, run a smart plan on them. You don't have to wait for everything to come to perfection. So we're going to talk about the smart plan today. If you need advice, you need help, you guys need to tap into your RTTs, because we're talking about this all the time. And we're here to help you. If you're like, this doesn't make sense, how can I make it work? Call your RTT in and we'll work through it. So I'm going to share this smart plan with you guys. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully I'm logged into Command too.
That's awesome, Shannon. As you're logging in, one of the things too, I know that at least, again, we know what as far as dates when stuff gets launched, but Command MC is on schedule to be have a major update at the end of July. And so, and I know a lot of you guys have been asking about being able to set up smart plans in Command MC and things like that. Talk to Kelly Cody, and one of the things that's going to be available, and that's why we're suggesting you guys really create smart plans now, is as a TL, you can create smart plans in your account, and then once Command MC gets launched, you'll be able to access those smart plans, or people will be able to access those smart plans in Command MC as well too. So it's not going to be, hey, if I create it now, it's not going to work in Command MC. You can create it now and it'll work in when Command MC gets updated.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I will point out to you, I touch base with my downline every single month. My smart plan goes out every single month on the 21st of the month. And they reply back. And I just say basically like, hey, I just want to tell you, thank you so much for choosing me as your sponsor. This is what I'm doing with my profit share this month. Please let me know if I can help you grow your downline. And they love it. Like, and every month is different and there's multiple steps. When I give you that drive, that smart plan is going to be in there, and you're more than welcome to check it out and use it as well. Anything I show you, please recreate. So today we're going to talk about a couple of smart plans. Mainly, I think we're just going to go through probably one today. What were you thinking, John?
Probably one or two, depending on how much time you got.
I think the one that most people are least familiar with is the Indy Smart Plan. So it's our new model. It's my region is crushing it with Indies. If you guys check out the Ohio Valley Facebook page, you're going to see we have been rolling out Indies 2 or 3 this month. So this is an awesome opportunity as team leaders to reach out to a new group and a new model and to talk about KW. And again, we're just trying to open the door to conversation. So this isn't perfect and it works. So spread it wide and follow and execute it, because when they reply back and they say, you know, I'm not interested, that gives you another opportunity to have a conversation. And if they're truly not interested, get them out of your database, because you know what? You just made your database that much richer and that higher quality. You can get with them later on, and you'll be pulling in names from Brokermetrics all the time. So first step here, we've got a couple, let me see how many steps this is. I think it's 13. Let me see. This particular Indy follow-up plan. And I took these from some of the best scripts that are out there, 14. So you've got your top regions that have all come up with great scripts that are working with them and shared them. And so you're going to see a lot of similarities here in some of the things that you've seen in some of your regional calls. So this one begins with a text message. For me, I find that is an awesome way to open the door to conversation. I am clearly not scared to talk to people, and I can talk a lot. And if I can soften that conversation coming in, it works really well. And so I oftentimes start a lot of my smart plans with text messaging. So this one is a text message. It says, hi, and I've got the contact name in there. So keep in mind, you have these merged fields right here. If you can use them, they're beautiful. And so this is the personalization that you want to put with your drip campaign, because nobody wants to be sold in a way that isn't personal. So use their name, use their information. This one says, hi, let's just go with John. Hi, John, this is Shannon Dager with Keller Williams. I was hoping you would consider giving me some of your wisdom and input on a new business model that we're bringing to your area. We are looking to partner with successful agents and independent brokerages that may have an interest in expansion or partnership. Would you be willing to give me 15 minutes over coffee to discuss our plans? That is so non-intimidating. I sent this to 10 agents and I got 4 coffee dates. And this was last month. I got 4 coffee dates last month. Coldwell Banker. Hit them up. All right, so another thing that I found, and I did a lot of research in this back when I was in the med device industry, you want to make sure that after that first reach out, that first, whatever it is, if it's a phone call or an email, that first connection, you follow up within 7 days thereafter. So that's just a really great, a great standard, I guess, to say. It's about 7 days. Within 7 days, you want to have a second touch. And so we've got, hi, I was wondering if you had time to check your calendar and possibly meet for coffee next week. I know your time is super valuable and I promise to make the most of it. KW has some really great options for agents and I'd love your thoughts on what's going on. Party.
I got a little party going on there.
We did. So next one's a phone call. And listen, in this, I've given you a script. And so the script is super easy. So when this pops up on the front of your command, it's going to be in your taskbar. So you're going to see right there in your taskbar, call. You're going to see their name. You're going to see their phone number because it's right there. It's automatically put in those merge fields. So call John at so-and-so. So you don't have to go all the way into their contact card, trying to speed things up here. And it's got your script right there. You click it, you open it, here it is. Hi, John. I know that you weren't able to meet right now, but I wanted to just reach out for one more time. Even if you didn't want to expand with us, wouldn't it help to negotiate with your outside vendors to know what we have and what we're providing at what cost? I mean, it's super straightforward and you're always asking for the close. I totally agree with you, Aaron, on that. 100%. Always asking for the meeting. Notice in each of these steps, you set a delay. So you set your delay for what it is. I really wouldn't recommend, I have this set on 3 days and I'm not using it at the moment. So this one I really just put together some things that had been working really well for me. So my recommendation when we're doing these is when you do your delay, and I believe it's already this way in the Google Drive, your first and your second contacts come within 7 days. Every time thereafter is about 14 days out because you don't want to hound them. You want to start a relationship with them and provide value to them and keep a door open so that graphic with the up and down, you're continuing to reach them at the right times. Then we've got an email here that talks about, I'm the team leader for Keller Williams, and I'm reaching out to you because I have some great options coming to your area. Again, this is indies, so we're always trying to talk expansion and partnership. So that is, I mean, this can go to independent brokerages. This could go to really influential icon agents in a certain area. And just to generate that conversation. So for me, it was never about closing them. It's always about having the next conversation. I'm always trying to provide content that's interesting enough to pique their interest to say, yes, I want to meet with you. So going through there, yeah, go ahead. You have something, John?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's, you know, really what it boils down to, and we've been hearing this a lot lately, it's all about building relationships, right?
It is, 100%. And I'm going to tell you, and you guys are going to get this in just a minute, so I'm just going to go through the steps here, but there is no better source of, and I feel bad saying this now because Aaron said it about Gary Keller, and I always say this like to everybody, there's no better source of helping you recruit than your current agents. We all know that. We all know that. We know we don't want to make cold calls. Nobody wants to make cold calls. Well, with SmartPlans, you don't have to make cold calls. But you should also make a SmartPlan for your current agents. Think about your ALC. I mean, you should be helping them grow their business. Put a SmartPlan together that reaches out to them and does that. Think about licensed agents. Think about those that are in school. I had 20 to 30 people at every career night, every single month. And I didn't do anything. They were in a SmartPlan. That's it. They were followed up, and that was it. And that SmartPlan is also going to be in the Google Drive. So that's, I mean, it's amazing. So then we've got a call. We've got a call here, and then another delay. We've got another email that follows up with them. And then this is one of my favorite things about this one, is this is actually showing them the technology. So we're going to assume at this point, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, that they have not engaged with you yet. So, or maybe they've engaged and not set up a meeting. This is actually going to demonstrate our technology to them and carry on with them endlessly, because this one actually says, I've added you to something we call the biweekly neighborhood nurture. And it talks about, I used your office address as a point of reference. This is showing them what you offer and allowing them to see how different it is. And so, because what we're offering is completely different than what anybody else is offering. And so, and not to mention no other brokerage is going to follow up with them this many times, I promise you that. So you've got an immediate add to the SmartPlan here, and then a task here, and that's really important. And you can put these tasks anywhere that you're not, like you're uncomfortable with something moving on because what if they reached out to me? Stick a task in there, and what it's going to do is remind you to check on them. So this one is just check the contact card for them, and then check out the SmartPlan results in the contact and set a calendar dates to call them every 30 days. So it does say in here, you want to check your contact card because we all get busy, and you want to make sure that if they've been looking at that biweekly neighborhood nurture, then you know that they're in. And so you definitely want to go back and check and see what they're looking at, and then decide if you're going to put them on a second SmartPlan. Go from there. So let me see if there's anything else. I think I've got pretty much everything. Are there any questions on anything there?
If anybody got any questions, if not, I think what we move into maybe next, Shannon, is if you can kind of go into one of the ones that you've created, like in the templates that you're going to share with everybody, and then just kind of go through a little bit of the content on some of the high points on the content, and then we'll have them break out into some groups to discuss, hey, how can I personalize some of this? So that's what I think our good next step is, give them an example, a template that they can use, and then we'll have them break out to kind of modify that themselves and personalize it.
So so what I shared with you is literally the exact template you're going to use, and it's in a Word document. So let me show you what I've got here. So you're going to have access to this. It's called Tiel SmartPlans Workshop Drive. And when you open it up, now this one just has 2 SmartPlans for you. And there's a whole nother drive with dozens of them that we're going to put in the chat in just a minute at the end of class. So this is the ND model. You can see this is exactly what I just went through with you. So you're going to copy and paste it straight to your SmartPlan as Mike walks you through it. Copy, paste, and it's all right here. It's all laid out. It tells you exactly what to do. Mike's going to show you how to put the merge fields in. You're going to know how to do all of that. So this is the template right here. And at the bottom of this template is another SmartPlan. So it's the R2 model. So this is for agents that are cappers and above, and it's talking to them. And this is actually a script that Gary Keller shared yesterday. So I integrated that in there, and I think it's awesome. And so same thing, you're just going to go through, copy and paste. You guys can choose and make these your own. You're definitely going to want to personalize them. And the point is, don't be scared to use them. Start using them. This is going to work for you. We need to be out there reaching as many agents as possible right now. I mean, really, truly cast your net very wide. Pull in from broker metrics. What I would do is I would do a broker metrics report on my area. I would look at people that were targeted in a certain area, and I would look at anybody who had a drop in production. So what production level did I want them to have in, and who had lost production recently? Capper and above, who's gone backwards? Those people have a need. They have a need that you can serve, and you just have to identify where the missing link is. Is it people? Is it systems? Is it tech?
Very cool.
And that's what you're going to write your SmartPlan on. And the other thing I want to say is you can run multiple SmartPlans at one time. So now, not to the same people, so that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, right? And so, but you can test a SmartPlan, have 2 different groups of people. Tag your recruits, group A, group B. Just like we tell you with campaigns, tag them and run them against each one and see what's working. Change what you're uncomfortable with, what you're not sure on. Change it up and just see what's working, and then go in there and stop that one, start this one. Same thing as campaigns. And always run them on yourself first, always.
Very cool. So did you get the link in the chat box so that they can
do it right now?
Awesome.
I'm gonna do it right now. Let me
I just had one question, Shannon. It's Donna Z from Chicago. Have you ever utilized, or is anybody on the chat here utilized? Because through Broker Metrics, a lot of them do put in their home addresses versus their office addresses, and then putting on their local smart plan.
Yeah, I have. So I did that before Command, I did that. And some people just get uncomfortable with it. And I also would probably do it because I think it's really cool. So I thought about that at the same time. And I think you could do it either way. I think it just depends on your approach. And so I don't think there's a right or a wrong. I think you try it both directions. If you get somebody that gives you kickback, then you say, oh, sorry. And you change it.
I'm just thinking in our MLSs, sometimes when they're tied to our offices, sometimes it might not just be that we're hyper local. They might live other places to show them the dynamic of their own neighborhood and what's going on and what those features are. Just to me, I might take it to that other level. But again, you know, all of a sudden, I don't know if we got pushback of like, how, you know, you have my home address.
Well, I mean, it's public information. So remember, we only have their home address if they chose to share it. And so, I mean, that, you know, it's public information in that way. And I think it's really cool that you can add multiple neighborhoods. So when I would be doing it, I would make sure that they had multiple neighborhoods so they could scroll back and forth and see that. And so I think that that's an option as well. And so in that smart plan, I'm pretty sure that it actually says on that last email when it says I'm adding you to the smart plan, I'm pretty sure that I actually said, if you want, we can add multiple neighborhoods. If you'd like for me to add any additional neighborhoods, please let me know. And so that might be what they reach out with, you know. I think you just have to kind of get out there and just start doing it and see what works. And what works for me may not work for you. And so the thing that works is the passion for what we have and what we offer. And that's the way. I mean, you see Aaron is like the most passionate person on our culture. He loves it. He speaks it. He lives it. He breathes it. And everybody's like, yes, go KW when Aaron's done, right? And so for me, like, I kind of feel the same way about recruiting. Like, I'm this weird person, but I'm like, you guys, we have this ability to offer that Aaron's talking about to everybody. And so, and we're not doing it. We're not doing it. And as team leaders, we have an obligation to do that, to protect that for generations, for behind us, in front of us, around us. You need to share that with your agents. I mean, what a blessing profit share is. And there are people that aren't getting it. So for me, it's just get out there and do it and free up some of your time and your quality of life in the meantime.
Awesome. So Shannon had posted the link to a couple templates for you guys. What I want you guys to do now is to make sure that you click the link so that you can get access into the Google Drive. And then we're going to break you guys out into some small groups and have some discussions on, hey, how can we modify some of this content to make it sound a little bit more personable, that would fit my style a little bit more. And so what we're really doing here is we're wanting you to kind of build your rough draft out. So I'm going to break you guys up for about 10 minutes, and then once you go, and the time is supposed to be spent on creating your rough draft, and then when we have you come back, Mike's going to show you how to put that draft into an actual smart plan. Okay, so let me get you guys set up into some groups, and we'll give you guys about 10 minutes to do that. Again, make sure that you grab Shannon's link so that you can have a template to work off of. And let's just break this up into 8 groups of 5 about.
Yeah, sounds about right.
All right, see you guys in about 10 minutes. Awesome. So it looks like just about everybody's about back, I think. I've got one person in the waiting room, so I'm going to add that person back in.
There were a couple of people who, because they were logging in to the drive without a KW email, couldn't get into it. So just so you know, if you had sent a note I opened it up now to anybody. So just try that link again. You should be able to get in there now. And if you can't, then just let me know, but you should be able to get in it, no problem.
Very cool. So what ideas did you guys come up with in your groups? What are some, let's take one or two ideas in terms of content. How can you start to deliver your recruiting message, do you think, when it comes to sending a text, right? Anything that you hear, Shannon, Mike, anybody? Go ahead.
So in our group, great discussion that was happening in our group was going back to really what Aaron was talking about with providing our why, our how, or what, all of that in the beginning, right? So starting with a text, but then following up maybe a day, even just a day later with more value, more content.
Yeah.
Why would you want to meet with us?
Very, very cool. What else you guys hear?
John, one of the things that we talked about was what would happen in the event that the agent actually scheduled an appointment and then you were still on the plan. So maybe adding a task that would remind you that agent had already met with you.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, we'll cover that for sure in the demo.
Awesome. All right. So now that you guys have had a chance to think about what you want to put into the plan, and you've heard some of Shannon's ideas and seen her templates and heard some of Aaron's ideas, it's time to take that rough draft and turn it into a finished essay. And so we're going to have Mike Hillary kind of demo for you guys how to actually go into Command and put all the pieces together so that you guys can walk out of here with a plan. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike.
Cool. Thank you, John. One of my favorite parts about SmartPlans is it feels like I'm back playing Legos again, because I can arrange these however I want. I can make my spaceship look like the Apollo rocket, or if I'm not feeling that daring, it can just be like 6 pieces and we'll call that a car. Doesn't even have to have wheels. And so we can be as customizable as you guys want to be with these. So let's dig in on some of the technical stuff here, right? So I'm going to pretend somebody on here is in here for the first time. So when you log into Command, you see your dashboard, right? How many of you guys know that if you click this red KW, it kicks out and tells you the names of all the different applets on the side? Yeah. Cool. So if I've taught somebody something, I've done good. So SmartPlans is this little one with what looks to be a checklist, and I think that's a gear or a lotus flower. I can't tell. So when we're putting together a custom SmartPlan, let me make sure everybody's box is out of the way here. You want to use this create button at the very top, and it's going to ask you for a name right off the bat. You want to be very purposeful with your names, because I know a lot of people on this call, aside from being a team leader or in leadership, they also have a sales team. And so I would lead off, if this is a recruiting SmartPlan, I would call it recruit something, right? And so in our breakout group, Jason, where you at, buddy? Wave. He talked about putting together a follow-up plan for when you meet with those $4 million producers on what that evergreen value looks like. So we're going to call this R2 follow-up. So this will take us to the creation screen. And so from here, we have our choice of Legos in the bucket on the right. I know nobody's watching me do my hands, but it's helping me. So as of today, the current trigger is someone gets manually added to this SmartPlan. It is on the roadmap to add additional triggers. However, these are the Legos we get to play with today. Gary's got to go shopping. So we can create a task, which reminds us to do something. We can create a task that tells us to make a call. We don't have robots that call from Command on SmartPlans. What we do have is we have Command email. So we have a task where we can send an email. For those of you looking to connect Twilio as part of your integration, and you haven't done so yet, if you need help, this is what allows Command to send out text messages on your behalf. I think I can speak for the three of us regional tech trainers. If you need help setting up your Twilio, give us a buzz. We'll give you a hand. And then we have some utilities here. We have set a delay, we have add to SmartPlan, and restart the flow. So what makes SmartPlans so smart is they will do exactly what you tell it to do. This also makes them kind of dumb because it will not deviate from that. It won't know any context on, okay, hey, this person did make an appointment with me. It doesn't know that, so it's going to keep going on the plan until you take action. And so the way, there are some rules to this, right? We don't allow you to just machine gun spam somebody with texts the entire day. There's got to be some spacing between. So for those rules, and this is just a good rule of thumb in general when you're looking to build relationships like this, is, you know, one super important task a day. What is the one thing that's got to happen for this? And so for a text message, there's got to be at least a 1-day delay between schedules. For an email, same thing. The shortest delay is 1 calendar day. There's no like 6 hours or 30 minutes available at this point. And there's got to be an action between those. We've also kind of set the sandbox to be 90 days as the total length of the plan. And part of the reason is because we keep making so many changes to this every quarter that you may want to come back and revisit what kind of Legos you get to play with, what kind of steps you can use. And you got to stay in the market of your moment. As it says in the shift book, what is it, page 38, right? Your message has to match your market. And so you can add someone to SmartPlan once a day, and there are touches for, it's got to be 7 within 7, smaller than that, 12 within 30, or 15 in one plan. So coming back to the Legos, let's start with a text message, right? So my Twilio account's connected, so it'll say that. If you don't have it, this will show up as a manual task for you to just take this information, pop it in your phone, and shoot it off. So static. This sends the same single text message every single time, right? And so if we pull up a fancy little one, what's really nice is being able to copy and paste. And so I'm going to pretend I'm Shannon today. So let me cut this down just a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing here. So if there's a data field that we want to personalize, so it doesn't sound like they're getting a text from the Roomba, we use these merge fields. And so we know that people will respond to messages when it's in emotional proximity with them. One of the fastest way to do this is to build a connection instantly by using their name and introducing yourself. So when we look at the structure here, right, we want to say, hi, who's this contact? And you may do first name, last name. You may do first name. I don't care, take your pick. So if you're not Shannon, you're going to replace that. And we can use agent first name. This refers to you as the user. So if you want to know what that is, just look at the top right. And we can also include their email, their phone number, their birthday, their home anniversary, right? And so I'm going to use this and last name. So one of the things to watch for, because you want to look as professional as possible, is when you add in one of these merge fields, it's going to add a space to the beginning and a space to the end. So you see my cursor there, where it's going, this is space, space, agent first name. You want to make sure that's cleaned up between and before and after each of these. Just because it looks much more like a form letter if the spacing is kind of awkward. Right? Now for dynamic, if you're going to be repeating this plan, right, if it's going to be a similar message to the same audience over and over and over again, you can use dynamic to add in additional texts that can be used as part of this step. And so this helps you avoid repeating the exact same information every single time. So we can say, so we could flip the area, and if you want to add a third or a fourth or a fifth or a sixth message, you can get up to 6, right? And so after this, we got to have some kind of action. So we could create a task, we could set a delay. I'm going to use set a delay so you guys can see this. So you have between 1 and 30 days, right? So Shannon said, you know what, we're going to use 7. So I find it fastest to use the arrow keys here, right? And then that's going to be between every step. So one of the next steps, we're going to use make a call. So notice the Legos kind of live at the top of the page. And so when the reason we had you plan this out ahead of time is so you know the type of steps, right? So it could be text, delay, call, delay, email, delay, task, delay, add to SmartPlan, restart flow. And so I can just click through that and it has all my steps already here. So let's go to make a call. And so as Shannon pointed out, we could easily do call agent first name with the merge field at, and then their phone number as it displays in command. In this task description, throw in your script, right? What, you know, and frame it against the who, the why, the how, and the what, right? And if there's a link that you want to be able to reference, right? If there's a, if you found a script or a website you want to refer to, you can put that here. So as far as due in, if you do it today, it'll execute on that day. So this will show up in your task list to go do. You can set a delay and this will push it further out. It'll create the task, but it will turn the due date further down the line. And so it may not show up in your tasks until 14 days after the step is set up. With email, so we use command email to power this step. So right now we're very much in crawl, walk, run with the email editor on this. So best practice today is to just use the text emails within here. You can set up your command email to have a reply to any email address you want. I prefer my kw.com one, so that's what I want. Now, with HTML, once we start publishing better or more libraries, these will pop in. For now, these are only available options, and there's really no customization beyond what's in merge fields built into these. For recruiting purposes, this is not a good choice. So we'll go back to simple. And here you can do bold, you can do bullet points, text, all that. What you want to make sure of is there's an intro, right? It's like, hey, so-and-so. And then you absolutely have to include your own signature. There is no way to set a default signature for these steps at this point. I see my chat box ringing. Are there questions in there, John or Shannon?
There was a question.
Answering it.
Yeah, I answered the question. We're good.
Sweet. Pro tip for if you're ever running like a Zoom room this size, having people like that to handle the chat for you while you go is great for the experience. So we got to include some kind of signature. What's really nice is we can format this. We can pick pretty colors. So if I prefer my name to be in Kelly Tiel, I can do that, right? Just kind of the some fun stuff. Gotta have a phone number. And then this is one of the quick tricks nobody ever talks about, but I think makes it really, really fun. And so you have a 2,000 character limit. So don't send them Ulysses. Keep it short, concise, and to the point to make sure you're delivering value and building that relationship with that task.
Yeah, it brings up a good point there real quick, Mike, too. I know that I was reading some research and they were talking about the potentiality of getting, say, a text message sent. And pretty startling stats. They, according to the study, they were saying that 98% of the text that you sent out will actually get read if you send a text message and keep it under 250 characters. So kind of that point about not writing a novel, make sure that when you're especially sending text messages, keep them short and sweet and kind of to the point.
Yeah, and remember, when we're using these with R2 recruits, they're typically people who are going to want to get value as quickly as they can. So one of the most versatile ones here and is create task. I don't know about you guys. I have the follow-up memory of a goldfish. And so I always make sure after any communication step where I'm posing them a question that there is a task that reminds me to follow up with them in some shape or form, right? If there's something I need to manually check, right? Did they look at the bi-monthly neighborhood nurture, right? Did they download the app? Putting in that task as a touch or as a non-touch task, make sure I know what's going on. And this is also very useful as the absolute last step of every smart plan. So when you build out a smart plan, right, you always want to remember, hey, this smart plan is finished, right? So this is at this point, I need to decide what I'm doing from here on. And so in the description, I could say, add to plan R3. Are there R3 recruits? Add to plan R2 DT D2, right? Or however you want to set that up. This makes sure that, they don't just kind of disappear into your database, but that they stay top of mind so you can stay in emotional proximity. And one of my favorites is this restart flow. And so you want to be careful with this. You can use it to consistently communicate time and time and time again. However, the smart plan will execute exactly as it's written. And so if there's any events in between, right, if they take your appointment or they talk about, I need help on the people side more than this side, you want to be sure to unsubscribe them from this plan before it restarts. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And if you want to, you're able to connect this to any other smart plan you have built within your personal library. And so I may want to add these to my quarterly call plan. And so if you don't complete all the required fields, you get the big red angry button. What's nice is it highlights the step. I know I missed this one. And by saving on the checkbox, I'm guessing we don't need 6 here. So you can easily delete steps. By hitting save on the checkbox, it's like, hey, if you're going to restart this, it's got to be longer than 15 days. So I'm going to kill that step so we can save this. And so you want to see the big green banner that says all changes have been saved. Awesome. So now that we've built it, we can add people to it. What's really nice is you're able to do this by tags. And so I can go find, all my city folks, and I can include them on this plan. Select all. So from this screen, I can choose 20 at a time. From the contact screen as a bulk action, I can add 50 at a time today. And then once they really unlock that to a longer list, then I'll be able to bulk add everybody I want to. I I think we covered everything as far as the technical side of this, right? So once you add someone to a smart plan, I want to show you guys, you can see who's in it. And let's say this R2 does take that appointment with you. I would come in here to SmartPlans, find them, select them, and then confirm unsubscribe. Or if you happen to get, let me just say, if you happen to get somebody who's like, take me off your list, do this for each and every smart plan they are tied to. And one of the easy ways to do this is to pull them up in the contact card and look at what smart plans they're tied to and just pull them off each and every one of them. So if they reply unsubscribe to a Twilio message, currently it just takes them off that one single smart plan. And so you may get, hey, I thought I unsubscribed from all this. So just things to be careful of and think of. And so if I have my plan built, I can add people by bulk action this way. I know, I have a lot of personalities in here. All right. And so I was hoping to find one that has all the smart plans. I could take them off like this. And I can unsubscribe from here too.
Very cool.
How's my time, Coach?
Pretty good. We got that out of there pretty quick. And so a couple quick questions will get you into a breakout group so that you guys can copy and paste and format your own smart plan. And then we'll get you out of here. It might go a little tiny bit over as far as that goes. But a couple quick questions in there. It says, is there a way to insert a JPEG of an email signature for the smart plan? What do you got, Shannon and Mike?
Currently, the answer today is no. You can add in a hyperlink, but you cannot build in a picture just yet. We're waiting for the HTML email editor to get through labs and be widely available before we can do that.
Yep, it should be fairly soon.
Coming soon.
Yep. And then another question, then we'll get into the breakout, is our email comes up as demo MC. Is there a way to change that email? How would you change that email, Mike?
So let me reshare my screen here. Great question, Rick. And so to change that for command email, you go in as settings. Let this little buddy load. And then at the very bottom here, scroll, boom. Email services, command email. When you click manage, it will ask you what the sender name is you want. And so if it says, demo MC, you can update this, Rick, to your name. And then this reply email can be any email you choose using this add a custom email. So when the recipient sees this, they're going to see this field, and then when they click reply, they'll be able to go here. It'll still show the agent KW and then the quid ID at mailer.kw.com as the legitimate sender. But you've gotten a ton of list emails before that are like from this list at listserv.com that still say, hey, this came from Mike.
And then, true to your name, Mike, we saw another comment that just came in and said, hey, I just received my weekly text from Mike, but he was teaching a class, right? Well, let me tell you, Rebecca, he's not called Magic for nothing. Right?
Yeah, I only have so many rabbits. I got to go restock.
All right. So, like I said, we're going to go just a little bit over. We're going to do you one last breakout. We'll come in, wrap everything back up, get you out of here, like I said, really quickly. Want you guys to take about 10 minutes. What we'd really like you to do or accomplish here is go into the editor, take the templates that you got, or maybe you started one already, and we want you to build out a recruiting smart plan that you can launch today. Because what we're going to ask you guys to do as a final activity is we want you to pull the trigger on launching one to a recruit, put yourself on it, and then put Shannon, Mike, or myself onto that smart plan as well too before you guys go today. Because we want to make sure that you guys got done what you needed to get done. So let's break out for about 10 minutes. We'll come back for about 5. Like I said, we might go about 10 minutes, 15 minutes over. Okay. Going to break you guys out to build those out now. All right, we are back. So how'd that process go for you guys in terms of, learning what to write, kind of going through the process of putting the steps in? Anybody able to complete theirs before the class was over here, or is there some homework to do? What do you guys think?
Charlie and I have some homework to do. We got to gabbing about technology.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, one of the things to watch for is keep your plans to between milestones, right? So when you're cultivating the relationship up to the appointment, that should be one plan. Once they've had the appointment, what's the follow-up, right, to get a second response? That's another plan. And then as they're like an active recruit in your world, what's your plan to stay in touch with them until you get a decision one way or the other? That's kind of that long-term nurture. And so segmenting those plans up makes it easier to stitch everything together into a complete system.
Yeah, and then it's going to actually get even more robust later. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but when we get the ability at some point, I know it's on the roadmap, and I don't know if it's anytime soon, but we're going to at some point have the ability to, based off of what decision they make or how they interact with your plan, you'll be able to reroute them. So in other words, hey, I'm sending this message, this person responded to it, I can set them down this path now. And if they didn't respond to it, then they stay on the current path. So it's a process that we call if this, then that, right? So there's going to be a lot more robust features. You got to remember with all this technology stuff, we're on version 1 of everything, and it does some amazing stuff. If you think back to the first iPhone and iPhone 1 versus iPhone 11, look how big of a huge difference there is now. What command looks like today and what it looks like five years from now, it's going to be completely different, and really just excited about all that. Okay, so with that, I'm going to share my screen here again, get you guys out of here. I promise to get you out of here by 2:15, and I just want to go and see if you guys have any questions or ahas that you had while we were going through the process.
John, the only question I have, I know we've got the 2 examples. Are we going to get access to some additional SmartPlans today here?
Yeah.
So I put that in the chat for you as well. So I put it in the chat as well. And John, I don't know, do you think, can we email that link out?
Yeah, I'll send it to, I'll send it to my regional MCA who has the list, and then I'll make sure that the resources all go out to everybody.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Any other questions or ahas before we get you out of here?
You guys don't wait for this to be perfect. Honestly, this is it. And if you have any doubt, please reach out to your regional tech trainer, because we want this to work for you. This is huge leverage for you. And if you're not using it, no wonder that you're exhausted and worn out. Like, this is going to work for you. I promise you, you will see results.
Well, that, and I think the other, on the other side of it too, is that if we're using this, right, especially if we're a TL that's not maybe in production, if we're using this for recruits, The point is that we're using it. And as we're using it and become familiar with it, our tech literacy gets better. And as we have conversations with recruits and our current agents for retention meetings, we speak the speak, we know how to walk the walk, and we can show them that, hey, we're utilizing it. And guess what? I'm getting results in recruiting for this. You as an agent can get really great results in leveraging yourself to get more business from this as well too. So that's an important point, I think, is that, you know, it's kind of like being a parent, right? You can tell your kid something, but if you aren't practicing that yourself, it's going to be really, really difficult for them to listen to you and respect what you're asking them to do. Okay. So some parting thoughts, and then we'll get you out of here. Some next steps. Make sure that you create and send the smart plan out to one recruit at least. And I would start with just one recruit. That way, if you mess something up, it doesn't, you know, damage too much, right? Send it to your RTT so that we can see what you sent out and can give you guys some feedback. And then obviously yourself so that you can see what you're sending, right? Second step is send a smart plan to a larger group after you text it. So after we've gone through this process and we see how it looks and we're familiar with it and comfortable with doing it, now let's open that up to a larger scale of recruits so that we can really start maximizing the power of it. And then ultimately, as Mike and Shannon both said here, you know, next follow-up step is create more smart plans to assist you in really curating the experience. Because just like we talk about with consumers with real estate sales, same thing with our agents. The more that we send a customized, personalized message and really create smart plans that are going to hit home certain points to different people, it's going to create that Amazon, that Netflix experience to our recruits as well. And that's going to help us get them to respond to us in a much more positive light, because they're not going to know, they're going to think, hey, this is just to me. It's not a blast that Mike or Shannon is sending out to everybody, right? That makes sense?
Yep.
Very cool. Any parting thoughts that you guys have, Shannon or Mike?
I mean, don't be afraid to break it. See how far you can push it, right? Send it with a typo. What matters is that it got out, not that it's perfect.
Exactly.
Awesome.
I'll tell you, I wasn't a passion for our technology until I started using SmartPlans and started getting recruits from it. And then I was one to throw my computer out the window. And now I'm a regional tech trainer because I've seen the power of what this can do for you. And I'm telling you, it's amazing. And you can reach your agents and you can reach recruits. So, and I mean, you just need to try it, dive in, and it's going to get better and better. So be on the front line of that.
Very cool. All right. Anybody have anything else to add? Any questions?
No, thank you guys. This was great.
Awesome. Well, if you have any questions, reach out to Shannon, Mike, or myself. And thank you guys for the session today. It was awesome being able to spend some time with you guys.
Yeah, it's fun to work with you guys. This is fun.
See ya.
All right. Bye, everybody.